First thing to do is to see if this seat post comes off. This is a really big deal because if it doesn't come off, it's going to be a big problem. Yeah, thank you. There it goes. So to be able to clean this frame properly and get down here to the bottom bracket, clean this area, I need to take this strong light crank off and these pedals. I've encountered my first problem here with this pedal screw. It's really stuck on there. I imagine it's been on there for decades and it's not moving, so I've just put some penetrating oil in there. So after trying a few times to get this off, you can see it's beginning to damage the flat, and it's going to be just going to get progressively worse. I think this pedal is really stuck on this crank, so what I'll do is just leave these pedals on and just take off the crank. I've done a video about this before, taking off a strong light crank, so I'll just get on with it. 14mm crank bolt. Actually, that came off pretty easy. Even though this tool is pretty awkward to use because it's so small. I can see some thread damage in here. So this is going to be a problem trying to get this off. So I'm going to have a go, but I have my doubts. No. It's not working, as you can see. When I turn the wrench, it just starts coming out, and it's just going to destroy those threads completely. So pedal won't come off. Threading is damaged, so the crank can't come off. So the only thing left I can do is take off the chain rings to get at the bottom bracket area. This one is always one. This one doesn't feel very good. It feels quite soft. In danger of rounding. Goes. You can see the state of the bottom bracket there. Okay, first wash for a long time. You know, even with the chain rings off. So this is where I am with it at the moment after an hour of just basic washing this area. You can see the bottom bracket is cleaner, but you know, the more you dig into that area, the more you really clean it, the more of a exposed metal you're going to find. The down tube and seat tube are looking better. Things I can't get off like this. And I can't go too deep into cleaning these because they'll just end up, taking these whole things off. The decals are quite fragile, I think. And another thing, I think there's a certain yellowness to it, and I get the impression that it could be nicotine. I don't know, I get the impression it could be just aged, or it could be, it was in a smoker's house. I don't know. But one big problem I have to show is I was trying to get this front derailleur off. You can see it's got a screw here which secures the cable, and when I was taking that off, snap, plastic snapped. So that's never gonna work now, and I have to find a new simplex rear front derailleur, which is disappointing because this is I've never seen a white one of these before. But these are well known to be problematic, and it's unlikely that it would have survived anyway. I'm sure if I've taken it off, it'll probably just fall apart. So this is the film I'm talking about, which is on the frame. I managed to get a lot of it off and down on the down tube, but you can see it's really weird because it comes off. It's not like it's unremovable, but it's coming off and leaving the white paint underneath, which is becoming quite thin, but it's still okay, I think. But I just wonder what this is, which runs down here. I haven't done this yet, and you can see it. You can just see the yellow that still remains. It's difficult to say whether it's just age or whether it is, smoking. is possible as well, that these can be stuck inside the shifter head, so that's something else I'm thinking about. I'm gonna check this shifter now. Yeah, this one's okay, that's good. This is something that could be really dodgy. This is normally like an 8mm screw with an Allen key, or the earlier days was just with flats on it, but this is actually got a screwdriver head. Something unusual. Okay, that is alright. Well, I was wrong about this wheel set. It's not normally Lux hubs, but actually it's Campagnolo. These hubs were caked in dirt and I couldn't see what they were until I cleaned them up a little. So these are an Italian wheel set. Campagnolo hubs, Ambrosio rims, which is unusual for a French bike of this quality. I think normally you'd have Normandy. You can see the black on the rims here. This is where I've cleaned compared to what goes all the way around the rim, which is going to be labor intensive to get all that dirt off. It must be like road grease. You can see it come off. Spokes looking pretty good. You see these ties on the spokes? You don't see them very often. Something unusual. And here are the Mafak racer brakes, which I've washed just with water. I didn't even use soap. Took off the springs on the back to get more access because there's a lot of dirt here. And they've cleaned up pretty well. These things are pretty bulletproof, I think. Here's where you get some friction sometimes, I think, with these brakes when the levers rub against each other. I had to add a small washer here because what was happening, the arm of this center pull caliper was rubbing on the frame. You can see here, there's the mark from it's been happening for a while in the past, so I added that just to give it a bit more space between the frame so it doesn't rub. The next problem is going to be centering, and this wheel is out of true. As you can see, it just rubs all over the place, so I'll have to true this wheel. The problem with these hoods is when I'm trying to put this tape underneath it, these hoods are so delicate, of course, they'll just come off. You can see already that that's the case.
célèbre sculpteur italien. Et elle représente, alors, bon, je ne vais pas revenir à l'histoire du mythe, mais en gros, comment dire, cet hermaphrodite, c'est un fils d'Aphrodite et une nain grand, hein, parce que c'est pas
c'est pas l'enjeu de la représentation de la sculpture.
C'est pas l'enjeu de la représentation de la sculpture, c'est un nu, mais un nu ambigu, en effet. Et alors, c'est assez amusant de noter que cette sculpture tournée autour
et ne voit finalement qu'une femme de dos. Voilà, c'est ça. Alors effectivement, c'est assez surprenant parce que c'est une sculpture quand même qui fait 1,69 m. De la nudité, en tout cas du nu, n'était pas associée à un genre, et c'est important de le dire. Est-ce que déjà quand même à l'Antiquité, il y avait une différence quand on représentait des corps féminins et...
So here it is, in the barn. I'm going to take it out and show you in the sunlight. But it's definitely finished for now. And here's its weight hanging here on this old scale, which is 1 pound out. And on here it reads 23.5. Well, that means it's 22.5 pounds. So interesting to compare this with my Altec anodized aluminium frame bike by Stronglight with Shimano 9-speed Ultegra, Shimano 600 from the early 90s, is more or less the same weight, 22.5 pounds. So the PX10 weighs more or less the same as the aluminium Altec. Wheel. So here's the bike, restored to the point where I'm happy to show it. Not perfect, but much better than it was. It's got new grip tape and all the other things I've shown that I've replaced. These Super LJ derailleurs turned out well. Always a beautiful version of these older derailleurs. And the frame is in nice shape compared to the yellowish, dusty, grimy thing it was. So it was hard work and harder than I expected, and it's easy to forget how much work is involved in doing a project like this, taking a bike that's really in pretty bad condition and having been ridden for a long time, making it roadworthy again and cleaning every aspect of it and finding problems and flaws that you didn't realize. It's been a pretty challenging job, more difficult than I expected, and I had to change more than I wished. The derailleurs I changed out for these classic simplex Super LJ. The shifters were original, so I just kept these a bit later, I think maybe in early 1970s. The wheels cleaned up pretty well, and the frame, I did my best with it. As you can see, it's not great, but it's pretty good compared to what it was. It turned out pretty well, seeing that it was basically yellow. Well, as far as dating it, I wrote to the original owner's daughter-in-law. The original owner died a while back, and she told me he started riding in serious club races in Normandy in France in 1959, and initially I thought, well, 1960 and 59 then, but I know that that original simplex rear derailleur, which was on this bike, wasn't released until 1962, which means that it couldn't be earlier than 1962. So I put the bike really in early 60s, it's 1963, 64. That's the best I can do, which means that the bike is nearly 60 years old, which is amazing to think that it survived you know, for so long. But I've kept also even his original stamp here, and even this, even though I don't know what that is. So I'm pretty pleased with the outcome. One more note from its history is the slight, you can see the slight two dings in the fork here, and obviously it was in some form of frontal accident at some point in its life. It's not too bad. The hub sits in the dropout's fine. They're not bent, but it's definitely, you can just see it's definitely there. It's not perfect. So all I can imagine is the guy who rode the bike originally had some form of crash, and that's part of the bike's charm, I suppose, and part of the bike's history. So yeah, that's something else I learned while I was restoring it.